Good evening, you guys. It has been a long day. I want to apologize again for the technical difficulties from earlier today. I also want to thank everybody who did join in to be able to view the demonstration earlier today. Um, but thankfully, well, Monday we do not have class, so due to holiday, so I will have the demonstration again on Wednesday at the same time, 1:45. For those who are able to join in. If not, no worries, it will be recorded and posted to D2L. Um, I'm just going to go ahead and jump in. All right. Um, this week, you guys will have seen on the module for week. If you click on course content, I'm going to bring this over here. If you click on course content, you're going to get this screen here. When you click on week 1, you're going to see this first bit of information. This week, we get the class rolling. Tonight, hopefully, well, you guys have a few minutes to get your quizzes done, so hopefully you got that in before it's too late. That is a bonus of 10 points if you get that. Well, if you get all those points, you get up to a bonus of 10 points. But if you keep scrolling down, we have the rest of the week in here. There's your syllabus again, the syllabus quiz. Hopefully you watch this video on how to reset defaults. There's a getting started PDF. Hopefully you've gone through that and read through that bit of information. Here is the recording from the intros. Okay, I'm gonna say this again. If you did not make it to the meeting, that means you are not on this video here. You still need to watch it, okay? Know who your classmates are. There is some information in there that I gave out to help you navigate through the course. And we went over the syllabus. All of that is information that you need to know. You need to make sure that you're going over. All right. So make sure that you do watch this. In addition to that, if you did not make this meeting here, then you need to go up to collaboration, go to discussion, and here you have introduction. So in the video, there are a list of questions in a PDF that I gave that you need to go ahead and answer those questions. Let us know who you are and then respond to a classmate once you do. I see someone has already done that. Okay, you guys need to do that. Make sure that you are paying attention to the due dates. All right, this one is you need to have this done by Sunday, September 5th. All right, if you do not have this done, for those who did not make the meeting, then you won't get participation points for um for for that day. All right, so this is one way that um I get your grades in for participating. Okay, so make sure you get that done. Going back to content, scrolling back down. All right, here is lesson 1. Very first part. This week you will submit 3 files to me. Okay, matter of fact, let me go and look at it in the view that you all see. That way, if there are any issues, I will be able to see them as well. There we go. Okay. So see these check marks? That means I have gone here. I have not yet gone to the syllabus quiz. I have not yet watched this video. There is no check mark there. So if you don't see check marks there, then you want to make sure that you get those check marks. Okay? So yeah, first thing you're going to see this week, you will be submitting 3 files. All right? So I believe someone asked the question, did we need to do this? Yes, you do. The CIB, which is also called the Classroom in a Book, you need to do this activity. Smiley face needs to be turned in. Snowman seat needs to be turned in. Okay? These are very small activities. So just because there's 3, don't get super excited or anything like that. Trust me, they're not difficult. Right? You can finish them in a day. Right? So all 3 of these need to be turned in. What I'm going to demonstrate to you guys today, or tonight rather, is the paint Ducky. Okay. I'm also going to show you a little bit of the work area, but you're actually going to do this assignment. Okay. So the very first thing that you need to do is download your work files. Okay. Here's your work file for Ducky, your work files for CIB. So I'm going to click there. I need to scroll up. There we go. And download. See, mine is down there. Now, your view might be slightly different than mine, and where things go. I'm working off of a Mac computer. You may be working off PC. I will do my best to remember to say control instead of command. But I will say that if you hear me say command, know that it should be control. Okay. If you hear me say alt or option, that it is option on Mac and alt on PC. Okay. The shift is the same, so that's no difference. Okay. So I had that downloaded, and now I'm gonna go back to. Oh, well, I'm gonna click for my work files for Classroom in the Book. And I'm going to download this. And notice right here it says zipped compressed file. I don't know what computer you're using and how your computer operates, and if it will automatically unzip your files when you after you download them, but mine does. So here they are right here. Let me slide this over here and just, here we go. So here are my files right there. They are already unzipped. Now, if yours do not unzip and you're having a problem opening them, then you're going to need to unzip them or extract them, depending on the computer that you have. Okay. If you're not quite sure how to do that, you might have to, depending on the system that you're using. I would just give that a quick Google search. With Windows, I believe that you have to extract it within your file management window. Okay. I'm also gonna need Ducky. Here's Ducky. I'm gonna put them back off aside here because I don't need them right now. I'm also gonna move this here. Okay. Now I have those downloaded and they're gonna be ready for me to go when I need them. All right. I'm gonna go back to lessons so I can show you just a little bit more of the information. Okay. So here was the information that I gave you guys to log in. For those of you who did, again, thank you. The instructions for CIB work area. If you do not have your book, it's fine. Here is the information for that. If you click here, you will see the PDF. Now, anything that says CIB with it, any instructions, excuse me, that says CIB, do not download it, okay? This is part of copyright, so you cannot um, you cannot download this. This is coming from the book, okay? So do not download that. You want to make sure that you use it, that you read from the screen, okay? I can navigate over using these buttons here to get to where I need to be. There's the work files there if I needed them. If not, which I already have them downloaded, I can just come back to lessons and then look for my instructions for smiley face and snowman. Now, notice that it says PDF here, it's a PDF there. These are just the instructions. There are no files for you to download for them because they're not needed. These are something that you're going to follow the instructions and complete them using a new document. And I'll show you guys, that as I get going. We already have Ducky, so we're good to go. All right, I'm going to scroll down a little bit more. For lesson one, well, rather, week one, every week will have its own Dropbox unless I specify that I want a different Dropbox for something. But for the most part, it will only have one Dropbox. Here is where you will place all of your work to be submitted. Okay? You need to submit everything. You can't just submit um, the CIB work area and think that that is okay. You need all three of these to have a completed assignment. You do not have to drop them all in at one time. Once you complete one, you can drop it. You can complete another, come back and drop another, complete another, come back and drop it. It's totally fine. Okay. Make sure that when you're reading the instructions that you are actually following the instructions and turning in and submitting exactly what it is that I'm asking for. Okay. Um, and then you have your quiz to be taken. Remember, I give you 3 dates. Okay. You have a start date. You have a due date, and then you have an end date. Okay. For your quiz, make sure you pay very close attention. Quizzes, exams will have the same due date and end date. Okay. Assignments and um, projects will have different dates. You'll have your start date, you'll have a due date, you have the end date. Anywhere from the start date to the due date, you have the opportunity to make full credit. Okay. Anytime after after the due date until the end date, your grade begins to go lower. Okay. Points, I will begin to take points off. After the end date, this Dropbox will close. Okay. You will not be able to access it. After this end date, you will not be able to access it. Remember, pay attention to your end dates, your due dates, and your end dates as well, because assignments and quizzes will not have the same end date. Okay? You do not have extra time in to get your quiz done. Once your due date comes, so will your end date, and you will not be able to access the quiz. And I will not reopen the quiz. Okay? Or the drop boxes. So you need to make sure that you guys are paying attention to those dates, okay? And again, everything will go in this Dropbox. All right. You will still be able to access all of these instructions. If you still want to reference back to something to see how something is done, you will still have access to them. You just will not be able to submit anything in the Dropbox. Okay. Um, Alrighty. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go ahead and pull up the duck instructions, but I'm going to move this aside because I'm going to show you something else first. All right. So first we have you already have your files downloaded. All right. I want to show you how to um, how you're going to reset your defaults to Photoshop. Why would you reset your default to Photoshop? You're going to reset your defaults because you want to make sure that your settings are going to be the same as the settings that we're using for the book, which is Classroom in the book. Okay? If you're using your own personal computer, you're doing your own work, you're not working from this book, you don't need to reset defaults every time you start a project. Okay. Um, so we just want to make sure that we are staying aligned with the book. Now, you cannot see my icon, um, but I am right now I'm hovering over my icon. And I am going to prepare to reset my defaults. I am first going to prepare to push the buttons. I am using a Mac, so if you are using a Mac computer, you are going to press and hold down on Command, Option, and Shift. If you are using um, if you are using a PC, then you are going to hold down Control, Alt, and Shift. You will hold them down while clicking your Photoshop icon. Keep holding it, and I'm going to show you what it says, and immediately what should come up, or it may take a moment depending on um, your speed. Um, this question here: do you want to delete Photoshop settings file? You need to click yes. Okay, click yes, and that will reset it to the defaults. All right. Once you do that, it opens up Photoshop. All right. So, um, next thing we're going to do is we are going to make sure that your color settings are going to be set accordingly. All right. Why are we setting the color settings? We want to make sure that the colors you are going to see um, are going to be the colors that's going to match the book. All right. You are free to change this as you see best to suit your needs, later on. It depends on, if you're working on print, um, projects, then you're going to focus more on possibly doing those things. I'm sorry. You're going to focus more on or set your color setting, sorry, to um, to a setting that's going to be conducive for print projects. That way, the colors that you see on your screen are going to be more conducive to the ones that you're going to see once they're printed. Okay, and that's for pretty much anything else. I will post a video for you guys that will give you more of an understanding later on if you want to make those changes on once you're done with with this book. Um, but what we're going to do is we are going to go to settings, and I hope you guys can see this. Yes, you can. Um, we are going to go to, I'm sorry, not settings, edit, and we're going to go down to color settings. Okay. And because you selected to reset to default, you should have these settings here. Okay. If you do not have these settings, but you do have where it says North American General Purpose 2, that's great. Now, if you want to go ahead and check these, that way if you try to open up and bring something into a document that has a different profile setting, it will alert you and let you know. You can totally do that, but then what it does is it will change your setting to custom. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and leave mine unchecked. Stick with I'm going to click OK and then move on. All right. Okay. So um, for those of you guys, I want to say this, for those of you guys who purchased the book, like I said in the previous meeting, you guys will find that there are some really good resources. You'll be able to watch some videos, from the book, demonstration videos that are helpful. There are questions uh, that are available that will help to test to make sure that you're on the right track. You're reading the information, you're understanding. So you can quiz yourself, things like that. So they have those little interactive things that are really good, but it also will have the work files that you can download as well. Now, what I recommend is that you don't worry about those files. If you want to download them to have them, um, you can, but I would not focus or use those um, for my assignments. I would use what it is that I provide you because I want you to make sure that you are not going to be using any of the end files, END files. What the book will provide you with is both the startup file and also the end file. It will let you know what the end result should look like. Now, I do not want you guys to use or try to submit those end results because if you do, I'll know. Um, so I have had someone to try it in the past, and I explained to them that I'm able to see that this file was used, and I showed them how that was used, how I know that it was used. If you do that, then unfortunately that will be an automatic 0 for your grade in that on that activity. So please do not use the end file. Use the files that I provide you. It'll just make life a lot easier for you. And all of those will be provided to you in D2L. Okay. Um, so I'm going to just kind of give you an overview of the screen. And this is kind of like where we're going to go into, um, let's see, um, let's see, try to find this for you guys. Right here, the CIB work area, okay? On the CIB work area, these are my instructions. So I'm just pretty much gonna go through this part here. I'm even gonna read this part for you. The Adobe Photoshop work area includes menus, toolbars, and panels that give you quick access to a variety of tools and options for editing and adding elements to your image. You can also add commands and filters to the menus by installing third-party software known as plugins, okay? In Photoshop, you primarily work with bitmapped digital images, okay? Bitmap digital images, continuous tone images that have been converted into a series of small squares or picture elements called pixels. Okay, you can also work with vector graphics, which are drawings made of smooth lines that retain their crispness when scaled. So if any of you have used Illustrator, you can bring some of these um, drawings and artwork into Photoshop. Those are vector graphics. You can bring them in there. You can also create some vector graphics within Photoshop as well. Um, you can create original artwork in Photoshop, or you can import images from many sources, such as photographs from a digital camera or mobile phone, stock photography, such as images from Adobe Stock Surface. I'm sorry, service, scans, photographs, transparencies, negatives, graphics, excuse me, and other documents. Um, Captured video images were created in drawing or painting programs. Okay. Um, so pretty much we've done, already some of these steps here that I've already walked you through. We've already reset the defaults, and now we're going to go through the home screen. Okay. And this is where we're at right now. This is the home screen. Okay. And you will see right up at the top, depending on if you're working on a Mac or a PC, you may see that your menu bar is all the way up here like mine is, or it could be like right up in here, okay, attached, with it. So it just depends on how yours is set up, but your menu bar is going to be where you see file, edit, image, select, window and help and things like that. Okay. So that's your menu bar. All right. Right here will let you exit the home screen and go straight into Photoshop. Okay. So here I can exit and go to Photoshop, and here is my workspace. Okay. When I hit this little home button, it'll take me right back to the home screen. All right. Um, so right here, if I come all the way across, I have the cloud storage that'll let me know if it's syncing or if everything is synced or if what's the status of it, how much storage I have left. Um, this will let me know what that information is right there. Right here is the search icon where I can search for different tools that are within Photoshop. It's like, oh my goodness, I need the eraser tool. I can't find the eraser tool. I can click this button here. I can put in a search for eraser. Oop, hit enter, and it'll give me some information there. Eraser, parts of an image, tools gallery. It gives me some stock images, things like that. Lets me know it's a tool. Uh-oh. Bring it over here, show you what I see. It gives me more information there and lets me know where it's at and just some other information about it. See that? So very helpful resource. Exit. Right over here is where I have my Creative Cloud profile set up already. So if you're ever logged in, whether you're on or off campus, I don't know, for some of you guys, if you're taking classes online and you just happen to be in one of the labs and you log in and you're not using your own personal computer and you don't see this here, then trust and know that you are not logged into your own um, account, and it can be going to somebody else's cloud. Okay. Here, you'll notice that this area here will have different things set up where suggestions set up where I can um, find some tutorials and things like that. If I click on learn will bring up more hands-on tutorials for me. I recommend that in your free time that you try out some of these things. If you're telling me that you're having trouble with something, you're finished your work, what have you, you're over the holidays, um, you feel like you might need some extra points, whatever the case may be, and I see that you're actually you're trying, you're doing different tutorials to try to help yourself in areas where you need help with, and I see the evidence of that. Here's a place that you can go in and find some things if I haven't already provided some things for you guys, for you guys. So I would definitely take advantage of some of these things. They have some pretty cool things in here, other than just like looking up on YouTube or something like that. So Lightroom, for the photographers out there, you are able to look and see Lightroom. It will pull up some of your Lightroom images that you save on here. Your cloud documents, anything that you save on the cloud is here. Um, if you are sharing a document with someone, sharing an image with someone, anything that is shared with you, it is going to be found here. Anything that you have deleted will also be available to you. Now, if you so choose to want to restore something you've deleted, you have the option to be able to do that, restore it, or you can delete it permanently. The choice will be up to you. So that is your home screen. Um, that information is found in your in your in your instructions for CIB. Okay. Um, Next thing that we are going to do, I'm going to show you first before we open a file, because one thing that you're going to do with the duck, I'm sorry, not the duck, because we're going to do Ducky together. You're going to do the snowman and the smiley face. You're going to create a new object. So when you hit create, I know it doesn't look like anything is happening, you guys, but it's popping up on my other screen. I just have to drag it over, okay? Um, but I'm going to have dimensions for you guys to start with. All right. You're going to select, um, and you're going to plug in whatever those dimensions are. I do not recall what they are right at the moment, but I have inches selected. You want to make inches selected. You want to make sure that you are paying attention, that you are not putting in that there are 4 pixels, or centimeters or millimeters or points, that they are actually inches. You want to make sure that artboard is not selected. And you want to make sure that you change your resolutions. Typically, I'm going to have you select 1 or 2 resolutions. It's either going to be 72 or it's going to be 150. Those are the two that I will end up using in this class. All right. Most of them will be 150. All right. Now, RGB color mode is the only color mode that we're going to use in this class, but you have more than one color mode that you can use. Up here, you have some presets. You have some that if you've already, saved some yourself. You have some that are for photography. You have some templates, here. Some people kind of, work with some of these things, so they will just utilize the templates available, or some of the presets that are already set. But it has some for photo. If you notice when I select photo, it gives me a resolution already set because a photo, I am going to print out the photo. So I want a very high resolution. I don't want um, I don't want it to be blurry or pixelated. Print is also going to give me a high resolution because I'm going to be printing. Okay. Art, illustration, same thing. Web, notice that the resolution goes down. This is what I need for web. The resolution, my pixel count, it will shift from using inches to using pixels. Okay, because that's what we're dealing with when we're dealing with the resolutions. Okay, when we're dealing with um, screen designing, you want to make sure that your resolution is low. But again, for me, most of the time, it's going to be 150. All right. Mobile will be the same thing. Film will be the same thing. So they kind of group these or what have you together, but um, we more than likely would not be shifting over to any of these, but these are available in the event that you do want to use them, all right, for your own personal work. But once you select and you put in your dimensions, all right, I'm just going to leave these as such. You're going to hit create, and then it's going to bring up your artboard. Okay, so this is what you will have to work with once you go through your steps for your smiley face and your snowman. All right, so I'm going to close this out. I do not want to save it, but what I do want to do is I want to open a file. Okay, and there are multiple ways that you can open a file. Right now, we are going to go to open. All right. And I am going to look for, I think I have this in downloads. Ducky is right here. I'm going to open up Ducky and I hit open. Another way that I could have opened up Ducky is I could have gone to my files and dragged Ducky down um, to the Photoshop icon, and um, and it would have opened up there. Another way that I could have opened up Ducky is going. Oh no, I need to go home right here, and I'm going to. Mm, Let me find it real quick. Um, I just had it, you guys. Yeah. Now where did that go? I'm trying to clear this little section here. I don't want the recents. Sort. Well, I'll show you guys on a later one. And we're gonna move on because it's already late. Let's just open the Ducky back again. All right. Anywho, um, I have Ducky open. So now what I'm gonna do is I am gonna go to the information to follow the steps for Ducky. Ducky steps are here in D2L, paint Ducky instructions. And again, you are not turning this in. This is practice, this is demonstration, okay? You are not submitting this. Now, there is some pertinent information on here. So I do recommend that you go through it because you will find that you will see this information again, okay? Um, I'm going to drag this over here so that you guys will be able to see what it is that I'm doing, all right? And before I go through Ducky, I am going to show you, let's see, where is my book? Here we go. Okay, so I just want to make sure that I'm following along and make sure I hit all the points with you guys that I did with my earlier class, okay? So again, my menu bar is up here. The next thing, when you come down, you're going to see this bar right here. This bar is my options bar, okay? You may ask me a question on D2L. I mean, on whether it's on D2L or Discord, wherever you ask me the question. I may likely answer your question with a question. And it may sound something along the lines of, what options do you have selected? Okay? You're not going to look here. You're not going to look here. You're going to be looking here when I ask you what options you have selected, because this is your options bar. This is your toolbar. Okay? Your toolbar, you can, depending on your screen size, you can make it a single column, or you can leave it um, two columns. It's totally up to you. But every one of these tools has their own set of options. When I click on each tool, it will give me different options for them. The other thing you need to know is that this little arrow right here, right next to the tool, right underneath the tool, lets me know that there are more tools behind this tool. And I can find those tools by either clicking and pressing holding down on the button, on the mouse button, and I will find the other tools available. The other option is to right click. Um, I don't have to hold it, just right click it, and it'll bring up those options as well. Okay, so all of these tools have, not all of them, but most of them have more tools behind them. Okay, so Um, Keeping that in mind, that you have more tools other than what you see. This can be customized, and I can send you a video on how to customize your toolbar if you like. Or you feel free to, to look that up, on your own. Now, when we move along over here, all of these over here are called panels. Have my layers panel, paths, channels, um, properties, adjustment, libraries. Um, Libraries is not something that's going to be really popular in the book. However, I hope that you guys come to really understand and learn libraries. If you can see, I have more than one setup here. Um, Here's a client of mine. This is my own stuff. This is just some extra things, little miscellaneous things that I have that I haven't quite organized. I just need to place them in specific libraries. And here is my church's library. So these are all different graphics, typically like logos that are associated with them. Or if I am designing, no, I do not want to share with others, which I can invite people to do. Um, I'm sorry. Let me turn some things off. Going off my ear. Decline. There we go. um, Whatever it is that I may be using towards their design, if I know that I'm using other programs too, I'm going to put them in the library so that I can easily access them without having to go to files again. I can even put their swatches in there. If they have specific branding, I can put that information in there. So it's a really quick tool to use to make working very efficient and effective. Okay. But we have that panel, set there if need be. All right. I can move these around as I want to. I typically, whenever my layers start to get pretty lengthy, I will pull my layers panel out because I can extend it and be able to see multiple layers and see some that I might have out here, because you can begin to build and have so many layers that even this is not long enough. Okay. Um, so it just depends on how you're working, um, what it is that'll be suitable, for you. You can move these around so you can have it all on its own little deal, but it's still being attached. It's your preference. Some people, are fine with them floating around. Some people like them to be structured where they are attached and they're not moving, they're not in the way or anything like that. Um, if there's something that a panel that we're needing that's not quite available, over here in Windows, there are many more to choose from. Okay. Another one that you're going to find that you may need is character, your character panel. Okay. It comes married with paragraphs. So even if you select character, it's going to show your panels as well. Okay. Oop, goodness. Sorry about that. Give me just one moment. Sorry guys. I kept getting a call like literally back to back, so I needed to kind of send that message off so they would stop. Um, let's see. Okay. Um, I told you guys about the panels. Yes. So yes, workspace. Now this area here is your workspace. Okay. This is where my image will be, where I'm working on. I am able to um, move this around a bit, and you're going to see that in just a moment, but and make it bigger if need be. But this is the area where you will see your image that you're working on. Okay, I'm going to come back up here to my options bar because I want to show you real quick before I forget this. Right here, this little icon is where I can select to be able to share. Oh, where'd it go? Well, it's popping up on my other screen and it won't let me drag it over. However, but when I click on it, um, it'll ask me if I want to continue on, and then it'll want you, to specify who you want to send it to. Here's that search icon again, and um, this will be your goodness. I am literally losing my mind right now. Um, this is your workspace menu. Goodness. Here, all of this stuff here, all your panels, you have presets for them. Okay. I can set up with essentials. All right. And that's pretty much what I have here. And this 3D, it'll change the panels that I would need specifically for designing. There's motion, painting, graphic, and web. We would work mainly with essentials. However, if you know that there's some other panels that you like and you so want to change from working with essentials and save your own, you are able to do that. You can create a new workspace. Now, I added some panels to that. When I click essentials, they still stay there. Now, if I hit reset to reset essentials, it'll go back to the way it was, the default. Okay, so that is your quick rundown for the panels. We will definitely get more into an understanding of each one of these panels a little bit more as we go along. So don't worry um, about all of that. Do not stress. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and go into playing with painting Ducky. You are going to see Ducky again this um, later on in this semester. Let's see. I'm going to pull up an image. I gave an example earlier today to help explain something in this lesson. So I'm going to pull something up real quick to have it ready to show you guys because I got really excited when I heard, not, I'm sorry, not when I heard, when I gave this example to help bring understanding, that I literally had to pat myself on the back. I don't usually do that. Hopefully you just smiled at that. Most of you probably will not. It's okay. I'm used to it. All right. Red. And there we go. Awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna leave that there and I'm going to pull this here. Alrighty. So back at Ducky. All right. I want you guys to see, let me put this at default here. I'm gonna put this here, kind of give it a little bit more space. Okay. Um, I'm sorry, there is one more thing that I want to show you guys down here at the bottom. Down here is my view, okay? Right now, I am seeing Ducky at 100% view. If I print out Ducky, the quality that Ducky is right now is how he's going to look when I print him out. Unless I decide to blow him up bigger, then of course he won't look like that. But this is what he will look like at 72 pixels per inch, okay? Now, if I need to work on Ducky, but I need to work on a part where he is bigger, I want to kind of play with his feathers or something like that right there, or maybe get in, play with those little dots in his eyes and change the colors of that. I'm going to zoom and I can change that. Right now, what I'm rolling my mouse, or I can select it and I can input it, hit enter, and that will zoom it in for me. Okay. Notice that even when I zoomed it, it did not change the size of my image. That is because this is what the size of the image is. This is the size of my document. And this is helpful because if you are working on a document and I give you specific specifications for them, and you get ready to save your document and upload your document, and you say, Ms. Irving, I cannot upload my document because D2L says that it's too big. There is no project, no assignment that I give you that should be too big to upload to D2L. If it is, then you did not do something correctly when you set up your document. And this will be a good indication to check and see if your specifications have been set up properly. There will be another way that I'll show you guys later on in the semester as we get a little bit further along, okay? But this is just a quick indicator. This is where your view. Okay. Now with Ducky that big, I'm going to show you that one of the quick shortcut tools that we use is the hand tool. All right. To access the hand tool, which is this little tool right here, it turns into a hand. I can move it around. See that? But if I do, let's just say I'm painting, okay? I'm gonna Command Z that off of there, and I don't want to remove the tool that I'm already using. I can do a quick um, shortcut by holding the space bar. I'm holding the space bar down, and I can readjust the screen, the image where I want on the screen, and just reposition it by holding down the space bar. When I release the space bar, it removes the hand. So that's a quick shortcut versus having to come and click, move it, and then go back and click back. Okay? So just make sure you utilize those shortcut codes. Now, I just put a dot in a spot that is really off. Okay? Often in some other programs, you will find that Control Z, or if you're on a Mac, Command Z, will undo that um, that action. Now, if I put multiple ones on here, the way Photoshop is now set up, it will undo each one. Now, if I want to redo it, I'm going to hit Control Shift Z. Control Shift Z will redo each one. Control Z to undo them. Okay? Now, if I did all of these things, and I don't want to do Control Z for all of them, I am going to go to File, Revert, and that will it will revert my file back to the last saved setting. Okay, I'm going to put some more dots on there because I want to show you guys something else. When I go to File to Revert, notice that it says F12 right on the side of it, and you can see all of these right here. All of these are shortcut codes. Okay, and you can take advantage of using these at any time. Okay, for this here, for those who are on the Mac, will know that this is Command. For others using PC, that is Control. Okay, I'm going to click off of there. I am going to hit my F12 button, and because the keyboard that I'm using, I'm going to have to push Function first. There we go. Um, and but depending on the keyboard that you're using, you may not necessarily have to push Function first. If I just hit F12, then it's also the volume for me. But depending on the keyboard that you're using, you may have to push another button like Function to be able to access that F12. But that is a shortcut code to it. Okay. Um, Next thing that we're going to do is, well, since we were just messing with the Zoom, um, actually, no, I'm gonna let you guys get to the Zoom one as it comes up. Right now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the paint bucket. We're gonna start painting on Ducky, and I'm going to explain to you guys what tolerance is and how that works. Okay. First, I need to find my paint bucket tool. And I'll tell you guys right now, the paint bucket tool is going to be behind your gradient. All right. Now, in each step, especially just starting out, it's going to tell you guys. If you haven't been in that tool before, it's going to tell you where that tool is and where to go and look for that tool. Okay, so don't stress about not knowing where the tool is because you can definitely find that out. I mean, you'll definitely get the information to that. Now, if by chance it is not on there, then again, if you go to the search icon, that will definitely help you. But here is the paint bucket tool, and I have it selected, and you see the cursor turns into a paint bucket. All right, now I have it selected. Up here, you will see that it will paint with foreground color. This little box here, the black one, is my foreground color. The white one is my background color. If I switch the two, now white is my foreground color and black is my background color. Whichever one of these boxes that is on top, which will always be this one here, foreground color is the color that is on top. And that one behind, of course, is the one that's on the back. But I'm going to switch it back and let the black be the foreground color. Um, but when I paint, it's going to paint with foreground color. I also have the option of changing it to a pattern, which would give me like, grass or trees or, different things like that. Um, I also have the option to be able to append or upload some extras, on there if I want to, but that's for another lesson, another time. Foreground color is what we're going to leave it set at. The mode, we're not going to worry about the mode now because later on we're going to get into these modes, which are called blending modes. We're not going to worry about the opacity now. We will soon. That is soon to come. The opacity is going to change on how whether there's some transparency on it or not. The tolerance and contiguous are the two things that we're going to talk about mainly with the paint bucket. Those two things are going to be important. You're going to see tolerance and contiguous um, again with some other tools. Okay, so it's going to be really important that you understand tolerance and contiguous. Okay, so with the paint bucket, I'm going to read what the information says. It says paint um, areas of similar color, paints area of similar colors in the image with the foreground color based on tolerance. Okay, the tolerance is measured of how different colors of pixels must be before they are included or excluded from the action. The default for tolerance is 32. You can make it higher to include more pixels for the search for, or you can lower it um, to select or narrow your application. Okay, so contiguous means touching or adjacent. Like you can trace a line to all of those pixels without jumping over a gap. Think of the contiguous states. So I'm going to show you this here. Give me this image. All right. So I'm going to bring this over here. All of these states here that are touching are called contiguous states. Okay. And I'm so glad that these states have different colors on them. Like some are blue, some are red. There's a couple of them that are purple and have pink. Okay. And there's even a light blue in there. All right. Now, if I was to let's just say that each one of these states are each a pixel. Okay. If I select, um, let's see, let me do this right here. If I select my tolerance at 32 and I check contiguous on here, and I select this pixel, Texas, at red, what it's going to do is it's going to paint in whatever color I have selected. It's going to paint in that color here, and every color that is just like this color pixel, it will reach out in a range, like, of 32, um, a range of 32 tolerance, so that it will find other pixels that are just like this one that are touching. So what it would do is it would end up selecting all of these states here that are actually touching. It would not select this state, nor will it select this state, because contiguous is selected. If contiguous was not selected, it would select every state that you see that is red. Okay? If I lowered my tolerance down to, let's say, maybe 10, it would select, and I select here, and I left contiguous checked, it would select Texas and maybe like a few of these states here. I would have to select again to be able to get these other states that are touching selected. Okay, I'm going to demonstrate that right here. So I'm over here. My foreground color is black. I am going to select any one of these white pixels. I have contiguous selected, and I also have my tolerance at 32. And I want you to notice that all around Ducky is white pixels, or white pixels. So I'm going to select here, and it's going to paint every white pixel that is the um, um, same color that I selected from this pixel that is touching. So pretty much what it's going to do is it's going to select that each color that is touching, that is just like the other. I'm sorry, let me explain this a little bit better. Each white pixel that I selected, I'm gonna undo. When I select that one pixel, because when I click it, I'm selecting one pixel. If you're not quite sure about that, let's zoom this up really high. See that? One pixel. When I bring it up, when I click, I am clicking one of these pixels. And every one of these pixels that is the same color, it'll range, like, if I click here, it'll reach out to 30, like a range of 32. Let's just say it comes about here. If there's still a white pixel here that's the same as that, it's going to continue to reach out to that same range. Okay? It's going to continue to do that until um it doesn't sense it doesn't pick up any more of those colors in color pixels. Okay, I'm going to show you by lowering my tolerance. Let's just say I lower it to 10. Let's see what happens when I do that. It selected all of it. Why? Every last one of these pixels are exactly the same color. So it's going to continue to reach and reach and reach and reach and reach until there's no more to reach. Now I'm going to select contiguous. I'm going to leave it at my tolerance at 30. I'm sorry, at 10. I'm going to undo and make this back white again. I'm going to select to uncheck contiguous. Okay. And I'm going to select the background. Well, no, let me put it at 32 because I want to make sure that you see this demonstration here. When I select the background, you know what? Let me change the color first so that you really see that change. Oh, it comes over here, brings up my color picker. I'm going to change it to like lime green. Hit OK. Go back to my paint bucket. 32, unchecked. I'm going to select one of these white pixels, and look what happens. It's looking for are the other white pixels that are just like this white pixel that I selected. So in other words, when I select this color, it's now looking for Alaska, okay? Because I have contiguous unchecked. It's going, when I select this red at 32, it's going to select all of these reds. It's going to find here, and it's going to select here, and it's going to select here. It will not select here, 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 or here. It'll select all of these here and there. Now, that's not something that I want, so I am going to undo that. But what I can do, oops, let me come back here. I can raise my tolerance up, and look what happens. It's looking for more. So that tolerance deal is increasing the the pixels, even so much the shade of it as well. So even though it may not be as bright as the others, as this white stark as this white here, it's still looking for it. Okay. Now I'm gonna undo that. I'm gonna lower it. I'm gonna leave contiguous unselected and show you what it does there. It selects just a little bit, even less than the 32. All right. Now uncheck that. Undo. Bring this back to 32. And I'm going to select thin the eye. And it's only selecting the areas that I want. Now, I can hit my zoom, click and drag. And if you notice that I still have some white pixels in there that are not selected. And that's okay for this exercise. It's no big deal. I'm going to undo that. Now, I am going to make sure that I first hit everything with you guys on that. See, let me just read through this real quick. All right, yep. Now, what I'm gonna show you guys is the gradient tool, right? If you have any questions on the tolerance deal, rewatch this, you know, to see if that helps. If not, definitely reach out to me. I will look to see if there are other resources that can help to explain it, just in case I may not be coming across very well. But hopefully, hopefully I am, and you get it. So for gradient, remember I said the paint bucket tool was behind the gradient tool. So I'm going to go ahead and select the paint bucket tool, right click it, and select my gradient tool. And now I have a foreground color set at green, but I'm going to go ahead and change the background color by clicking into the background color. It changes to this little eyedropper tool, and it brings up this dialog box. And I'm going to change it to like a blue color and select OK. And then notice that my options bar changed again. I do not have tolerance or contiguous because I don't need that um, for this option. What I do have is blend modes. I have the opacity. I can reverse it, things like that. But right here I have the styles. I can choose whether I want it linear, radial, or reflecting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to the top of Ducky, and I am going to click and hold, and I'm going to drag down to the bottom and release. And now I have a nice gradient look. But I also want you to notice too, right over here, I no longer have Ducky. Ducky is not there. Like, I can't just come and like erase any of this and Ducky appears. He's not going to be there. Those pixels that consist of Ducky are gone. Um, how can I bring Ducky back? Well, I would have to do Control Z and get rid of the gradient. How would I have Ducky have a gradient behind Ducky? Well, I would select for a different layer and do a couple of other things that we are going to learn later. Now, I'm going to take this opportunity because I noticed, even in previous classes, that students start to play around with the layers. When you have two other assignments in this week. You have um, the smiley face, and you have um, I'll get the snowman. Those two will all be done on one layer. I should not see multiple layers, okay? Only one layer, all right? Um, that's why we're going through some of these instructions with Ducky so that you can see that all of the things that you want to do can be done on one layer, all right? Now, um, I'm going to undo this and I'm going to show you a different gradient look. And I'm going to select at the top of Ducky's beak to the bottom of Ducky's beak. All right. And I'm going to release. And you're going to see the difference in that gradient right there. You're going to see that the gradient is not a gradual deal all the way through, that it is right up in this little area here that I selected. Okay. So as a designer, you have the freedom and the flexibility to decide how you want those gradients to look. Um, Now, depending on how the gradients are laid out, they can display a type of depth, so to speak, depending on the colors that you choose as well. So how you lay them out and things like that makes a difference, and you will see that when you go through um, the snowman activity. Okay, I'm gonna undo that. All right, let's see here. Show you guys some of the others. I click and drag for the middle, go out to the edge. It'll give me a radial. Let's start from here, go in. It'll give me a different look. Start from here, same thing. So different looks. Just kind of play around with those things and see what you like. And then, oh goodness, did I just say that? I sure did. There we go. Undo. Um, so we have the gradient tool. That's one thing. Smudge. I can tell you that not very rarely, I don't use the smudge tool. I don't have a need to use the smudge tool yet, at least. Um, the smudge tool is just like dragging your finger through like wet paint. Okay, it picks up colors with where the stroke begins, and it can push it and drag, push it in the direction that you drag it in. You could choose a brush tip, and you can choose options on the options bar. Then you can drag it in the image to smudge the pixels. There's a finger paint option button um, that will allow you to smudge using the foreground color rather than the initial color. And I'm going to show you that real quick. So here is my smudge tool. And you may not see your smudge tool right up front, but it will be behind the blur tool. Okay. So I'm going to select the smudge tool and notice again that my options change. All right. There's that finger painting option that I can toggle on and off. Right now I'm going to leave it off so that I can show you. Over here is my brush setting. All right. Right here I can change the size. This circle here is the size of my brush. That is 22 pixels. I can increase the size on that. And if I select my, oops, this thing is in here. That's because it's selected there. Yes, indeed, I got you. I'm going to select that on here real quick. Now, if I just have my brush setting, if I use the bracket keys, is my left bracket key is making my brush size smaller. The right bracket key is making the brush size larger. Okay, I can also change that right over here. My brush size gets smaller when I drag it this way. You see the size of it there. And here is the hardness and softness of my brush. If it's at 0%, it's going to look like this, feathered around there. That means it is a very soft brush. If it's at 100%, it's going to look like this, and that means that it is a hard brush. I'm going to show you the difference in the two. All right. I'm going to make it all the way soft, and I'm going to begin to click and drag and just push it out. This is what using my soft brush. Okay. I'm going to grab a same brush, and I'm just going to make it hard all the way. And I'm going to show you what that looks like by using a harder brush. Slightly different. See that? It's grabbing more of the pixels from the brush. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to smudge that. That's kind of yuck, right? I can revert all of that very quickly by hitting the F12 button. Oh, see, that was to the point where I last saved it. So for me, I'm going to have to go all the way and hit the undo button and probably just go ahead and save it like that. So that way, if I hit file revert again, then it'll save it back to Ducky. Not to the point where I accidentally saved it. Now I'm going to hit the finger painting option right there. And I am going to begin to smudge that way. And notice that it's like I took my finger, I dipped it in green, and now I'm taking that green and I am putting it in the yellow paint and I'm smudging it. That's what I'm doing here. I'm going to take that and I'm going to use it all. So we're going to smear all these colors right here together. All right. I can change the strength of this. And it looks like I'm painting. That means it's almost kind of like it's like a lot more paint coming out at one time. I typically leave this set, my demonstration with you guys, at 50 or less, because it'll give you a better look for what it is that you're trying to do typically. If you're going to put it that high, then you can just go ahead and paint, you know. So that's the smudge tool. Okay. I'm going to revert this back, get rid of that. Okay. I'm going to show you now how to draw some straight lines. All right. You can make perfectly straight lines. Let me tell you what I cannot do. I cannot draw. All right. I'm going to grab my brush here. See this whole set of settings there. My brush size is at 250 pixels. You can see that's pretty big. I don't need it that big. I'm going to go ahead and make it smaller. Bring it about 15%. That's totally fine. I'm going to go ahead and leave it a hard brush. And I am going to try to draw a straight line free-handed. Is that a straight line? I mean, kinda, but it's not very straight. If I zoom in there, I mean, I don't even have to zoom and I can see the little wigglies on there. However, if I want a straight line or a real straight line, I can click, hold shift, and I can go straight across and it will draw me a straight line. I can click, hold shift, go straight across a little bit. I'm even going to go down and it's not going to draw downward. I can go over and it will still be a straight line. Release my click, then my shift key, and there it is. Now I can shift click and it will take that last point that I stopped at and wherever my cursor is then, and it will draw a line straight over there. I'm gonna shift click again, and there I've just made a triangle. All three straight lines. Okay, I can make it vertical or horizontal. Oops, I didn't quite set that up correctly, but you get it. And if I didn't want it like that, I could just undo it, then shift click. There we go. All right. So that's how I do straight line segments. Um, I can do that with a brush. I can do that with the pencil. And I am just holding down the shift button and I'm just clicking in different spots and you see it's connecting. It's drawing it's drawing either a diagonal line, but regardless, those lines are perfectly straight. They're not wiggly, or anything like that, or free-handed or anything like that. So make sure that you are um, um, holding those segments, holding that shift key to make those different segments and drawing zigzags because in your next assignment, you are going to be making zigzags. Okay? Making trees. They're not that hard. Okay? I will be able to tell if you did this, even if you use a pen tool. A pencil. You can't get away with it. See, I told y'all I can't draw. It's it's not my fault. I just wasn't born that way. Sorry. Okay. Um, the other thing that you can use, I'm going to show you how to make two things. I'm going to show you how to make a perfect um, circle and a perfect square using some painting tools without actually having to draw them. Okay. You see, you have your point here. You can change that size. All right. I'm going to click. Boom. There is a perfect circle right there. Okay. I'm going to show you how to make a perfect square. All right. Now, I am going to show you the eraser tool, but I want you to hear me very well. Do not fall in love with the eraser tool. Okay. As we get further along, you're going to learn about masking. Masking is going to be a better way to hide pixels versus erasing them. Okay, erasing can be very destructible, and you want to do what you can to not destroy your image, but rather preserve it as much as you can. All right. So I'm going to show you the eraser tool, show you how to use it, but don't fall in love with it. Okay. So when with my eraser tool, select it. Again, notice the options bar changes. I can again change the size of it. I can change the hardness of it when it's a brush, okay? Now, if I want a perfect square, I am going to come to the mode and I'm going to select block. You see, it turns into a square, all right? If you notice, it does not give me the option to make it bigger, but I can still make a square. Even if I try to make this brush bigger before going in here, it is not going to allow me to make that bigger, okay? But here is a perfect square. Now I want you to notice something. When I select it to erase with the block, what color does it give me? It gives me the blue. It's using the background color. But the back is gonna paint, it's an eraser, but it's actually painting. I know it's weird, but this is Photoshop. And Photoshop will do weird things at times. However, it's going to erase with the background color. It's going to use the background, paint with the background color. All right. I do not fall in love with the eraser. Okay. Only as another painting tool. Okay. But know that when you paint with the eraser, it's going to paint using the background color. All right. Um, Again, I can make perfect squares, but I can also still make the straight lines using um, the shift key. So I hold down shift, click, oh well, sorry, click, hold down shift, drag, click, hold down shift, drag, shift, click, shift, click, shift, click. I'm still holding down shift and clicking in different places. Here we go. So that is the Ducky um, demo. This is some of the painting tools. These are some of the painting tools that you're going to be using in the two exercises. Um, that's the, why can't I keep, it's late, you guys. I'm so sorry. It's the snowman and the smiley face. These are some of the tools that you're going to be using. Again, all on one layer, okay? Make sure that you guys follow the instructions exactly. If you decide that you want to do more to the design and make it more creative, I'm totally okay with that as long as I still see what it is that I'm asking for. It cannot, cover up anything that I'm asking for. I must see what it is that you are required to do. All right. Um, Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you saving. All right, I'm going to show you two things. One, I'm going to show you saving to your cloud. File, save as. All right, hit file, save as. Oh, came over here. It's going to bring up this dialog box. It's going to ask you, do you want to save to cloud documents or do you want to save to your computer? All right. Personally, when I save to my computer, you see right up in here, it'll give you this option here. Right up in my favorites, I have mine set at Dropbox, as Dropbox, okay? So I save majority of my work there. Everything that I save there. The things that I do pretty much for you guys, I will save it here in the cloud, which is the Adobe cloud, okay? Anywhere that you log into your Adobe account, you will be able to access your cloud documents, okay? So that is something that if I were you guys, I would go ahead and utilize. However, I will give you a disclaimer that when you save to cloud documents, you can only save PSD files. Okay? Only save the PSD files. If you want to save a JPEG, you're going to end up having to save it to your computer, which you can also set up, like I said, your Dropbox on here as well to for quick access. Now, whether you save them on your computer and then go back and save them to Dropbox, how you choose to do that is totally up to you. Okay, I have mine on my computer so to make it easier for me. Um, but I'm going to show you saving a cloud and what it is that I recommend. And I'm not recommend. This is what I want. All right. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to save it just yet. I'm just going to show you. If I save it here, it's going to show up in my clouds, right? It's already saved there. Irving Ducky from earlier today, all right? I'm going to go ahead and select on my computer. I'm going to hit this little drop down menu so that I can see any more information that I want to see. Let's see, I'm just going to put this on. There, it's fine. No. Better not. That is fine. So when you do your save as, you see it says ducky.tiff, right? Typically, when you're going to save your documents, you're either going to save it as a Photoshop file or you're going to save it as a JPEG. Okay. Well, initially, you're going to save it as a JPEG. Goodness, file. Everything that you work on, you should have a Photoshop file saved of it. All right. Regardless of what it is that I want you to submit to me, you must have a Photoshop file, which is a .psd file saved. Saved. That is called your native file. That is called your original file. That is called your editable file. Okay. When you do your save as, you must give me your last name only. Irving is my last name underscore. I did not erase anything. I just placed my cursor right in front of it. I added my last name with an underscore, and I will not yet click save because I'm not saving this as a TIFF. I need to come to format. You see right here, I need to go up to Photoshop. All right. I want to save this as a Photoshop file. So I'm going to select Photoshop and it will automatically select PSD for me. Do not type in any file extensions. The only thing that you are typing in is you're adding your your last name to the front part of the file name that is already there. Okay? Again, do not add a .jpeg, .psd, .pdf, .do, nothing. You have to select the file format here. Okay? Then you will click save. All right. Now, I definitely missed something with you guys. Um, and I will go ahead and correct that right now. Do not save. Now, let's just say that this is the first time that I'm opening up my document. All right. We're going to open up this one here because this is the document that you guys are going to start with. Now, if you notice this one says start and this one says end. This is the end result that you should come to. All right. This is not the file that you will use. This is only for viewing purposes. All right. So again, I will be able to see if you actually use this file or not. You must use the start file. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up. The very first thing that I will do when I open up this file is I will go to File, Save As, save it on my computer, select in front of it, IRVING underscore. Now it says PSD. Am I going to hit save? No, I'm not. It does say Photoshop here. So I should be able to just hit save. The only reason why I'm saying no is because there have been times in the past where students have done this, and they've had issues with being able to open up their files later. So what I recommend, just as a precaution, just click it, select Photoshop again, and then hit save. Okay? You do that first. It's going to bring up this dialog box. You can decide that you want to not see it again or not. It's totally up to you guys. And hit OK. Now, once that's done, you have your file saved. Okay. It's showing up in your tab, your Documents tab. All right. And then as you are working along in your design, you will see this little asterisk show up. I strongly recommend that gradually as you are working to save. Go to File, Save, or just hit Control or Command S, depending on what program you're using. I'm sorry, system you're using um, to save your document. Save frequently. Because if something happens, let's say the weather is bad, you're working and your computer crashes, oh my goodness, guess what? This doesn't necessarily do autosave like that. So you're not going to get like your last bit of work that you worked on, you're going to get to the last point where you saved oftentimes. Very rarely will you have like a have it restored. But it's a chance that you don't want to take. Okay? And that's pretty much all that I have for you guys. If there is anything that I missed, you probably would know. However, I don't think that there is anything that I missed. Let me go ahead and close this out real quick. I don't need to save that. I'm going to bring over this here again. I am going to go through and make sure that I have some of the questions, you guys' questions answered. Let me look here to see. I'm just going to remind you guys, pay attention to first off, what is available for this week. Okay. So it's the syllabus quiz, which should have already been taken. Um, for those of you who need to get your introductions done, again, introductions are not for everyone. If you were there for the meeting, on the live meeting, you do not have to do the discussions. These are only for those who were not able to make it. Again, any meeting that I have set up for you guys, I cannot require you guys to be here. I strongly recommend that you do, especially for the times that we will have presentations, because those are really important. I will be sending out a poll before this week is over with to kind of get an idea of when the majority of you guys are available so that I can send out dates ahead of time so that you guys can make whatever arrangements you need to make to be available to make those meeting times so that we can get the presentations in, because presentations are a part of your grade. Okay, so you definitely want to make sure that um, you're going to try to be able to make those happen. All right. um, so yeah, I think I saw some other messages about quite a few things that were showing up. I have already begun to go through and change the dates of when things are going to be open, and ready to go. If it says that it's an upcoming date, um, it's typically, so you'll see some that'll say that it's a due date. Here, the availability ends. So some of these things are repeated. Like this is here, it's the same thing. This is when it's due. This is when it ends. It's ending on the same day. Okay, which is Sunday. We have no school on Labor Day. I need to go and adjust this date here, um, and make this the 7th. Okay, because this is an online class, it doesn't necessarily need to start on the same day that my face-to-face class starts. But because my face-to-face class starts on Wednesday, will start on Wednesday next week, you guys too will get the demonstration on Wednesday. Okay, so be on the lookout for that, and I will send another link for the lesson 2 demonstration for next week for Wednesday. Okay, again, moving forward after that, Most of the demonstrations are going to be on Monday. I may have some on Wednesday that will be just some added deal to kind of, added information that I may go over, but I would definitely record them and put them on there. Again, it is not mandatory that you show up for the lessons demonstrations. It's helpful for you because you'll have the opportunity to be able to send in questions as I'm going through. Because if you have a question about it, then somebody else, even in my face-to-face class, might have a question and just not asking. But also know that class, I will be teaching face to face with other students, so they too will have questions. So you will hear me stopping to answer their questions, things like that, and just making sure that things are running smoothly, in that. So again, if you have the time available to log in, great. It'll just be like you're in a classroom setting, but virtually. Okay. Um, so that's that. I pray that the audio worked well for this. Otherwise, I'd be doing it all over again. Again, if you guys have any questions, reach out to me. I will go through the Discord tonight and my emails to see if there's anything that I missed that I may not have covered in this video. If I did cover it, I will just reference you guys to the video. Okay? Alrighty.